give it away now. Anxiety News with your host, Christopher Chaos. Shout out to The Guardian for this piece of information. Nearly a third of UK secondary pupils, I do not know what grade that is, high school, avoid school due to anxiety, survey finds. Pardon me, excuse me. What's interesting is my son has an issue being interesting. I don't know if he would admit it's this. I think he just finds it boring. There was an article that my mom sent me, or there was like this interview that somebody said something about why intelligent people just aren't into school after a while. But it's because these Rockefeller designed institutions are not designed for creativity. Once you get in high school, it's suffering. I'm just kidding. Am I? Alright, so let's go. Almost 3 in 10 secondary pupils are avoiding going to school because doing so would make them anxious, a new survey has found. Across the UK, 28% of 12 to 18-year-olds have not attended school over the last year for that reason, with experts warning that many stayed away because they had felt unable to cope. The findings in a survey undertaken for the youth mental health charity STEM4 suggest that poor mental well-being is a big reason for the post-COVID surge in school absenteeism. Dr. Nehara Kraus, the charity's founder, urged schools, the NHS, and ministers to increase support for anxious and distressed under 18-year-olds. Because emotionally based school avoidance is leading to pupils being off for long periods, disrupting their education and putting a huge strain, on their families. School and the challenges it sometimes poses can increase anxiety in some young people, making them feel overwhelmed and unable to cope. Emotionally based school avoidance is a very worrying, growing phenomenon. It's a phenomenon. It is different to school absence due to truancy. It is when a child or young person experiences extreme anxiety or distress relating to attending school. Okay, this fear can be so great that they avoid even going to school. Kraus, who has developed 5 apps to help troubled young people manage their mental health, said that 24% of those avoiding school said they did so because of family difficulties, 18% due to bullying or friendship issues, and others because of exam stress. These findings are very alarming as they show the far-reaching impact untreated anxiety and other mental health difficulties can have on a young person's life, like myself. I'm only 35. Yeah, but I'm not in school. This ain't 21 Jump Street, bro. This ain't 35 Jump Street. What can start off as a few days off school can quickly spiral into persistent absence without specialist support, which is both expensive and time-consuming. Some children and young people will have their education, and through this, their life chances significantly impacted. In the representative sample of 1,025 young people, 48% said they were suffering mental health distress and had anxiety, depression, and eating disorder or other diagnosable condition. Anxiety News. Pardon us. Maybe I'll cut that part out. Among them, 50% had missed school because they were too anxious to go in. The findings come amid acute concern, not acute, A-C-U-T-E together. Parents and ministers at school absenteeism. For example, 1 in 10 pupils in England in their GCSE year were absent in the last school year. GCSE. 70% more than before COVID struck in 2020. The former shadow mental health minister. Shadow mental health minister? It sounds like a fucking magician. Dr. Rosanna Allen Khan, who led a Commons debate last week on children's mental health, said the survey had uncovered an epidemic of unhappiness that is keeping children away from the classroom. To address it, she said, we need specialists in schools, a recruitment drive to fix chronic staffing issues in mental health services, and work undertaken to enable young people to access support in their communities. This is also trickled down. I don't know how it is in England, but in the United States, a lot of times the teachers and the staff don't get support, so that trickles down to the students not getting enough support. One person cannot do it all. 2 people cannot do, 3 people cannot do it all. Paul Whitman, the General Secretary of the School Leaders Union, NAHT, says schools have seen more children struggling with their mental health in recent years, especially since the pandemic, he says. And this impacts not only their learning, but also their attendance and behavior. He urged ministers to ensure that every school had a mental health support team. Only 38% of those in England do so. And all schools and colleges could provide counseling. Professor Sir Chris Whitty, I like that name, England's chief medical officer, has told parents that children with mild to moderate anxiety should still come to school because prolonged absence can make them worse. Chris Whitty's got it right. Professor Sir Chris Whitty. I like that as a title to the episode. I need to write that down. I don't know where that paper is. I gotta get on the paper. Now it's gonna be who knows. Because if you haven't been watching the whole episode, who knows? Professor Sir Chris Whitty. Like it. Professor Sir Chris Whitty. England's chief, that's a funny name. And my name is Chris. That's hilarious. The government has unveiled plans for attendance hubs and attendance mentors to tackle the problem. I suspect this is a worldwide challenge. At least in like the Western type of schools. A government spokesperson said attendance is vital for a child's well-being. They also get paid for attendance, so. Development and attainment, and that is why we have launched a national campaign to support persistently absent children back in the school. This campaign is backed by the launch of 18 new attendance hubs, increasing the total to 32 to support 2,000 schools on top of 18 million pounds to expand. Why does the pounds look like a east side sign? To expand a pilot mentoring program. Alongside us, we are boosting mental health support for children in schools, including by offering senior mental health lead training to all schools and colleges by 2025, extending coverage of mental health support teams to at least 50% of pupils in England by the end of March 2025, and providing £2.3 billion a year for NHS mental health services to reach an additional 345,000 children. End quote. Whoa, I'm thinking I'm gonna start doing that. Whenever like I have to read a quote, I'm gonna change that, practice my accents and stuff. So yeah, shout out to who wrote this? Betsy Reed. Betsy Reads. Yeah, man. Interesting. Very interesting. We'll be right back with the next segment of the Friday podcast with Chris MF Chaos. F is for ferocious.